So, today I'm very excited to introduce to you Nick Laurant. I hope I say that name correct. I actually never asked him how to say it, but yeah, I'm very happy that he's here with us. He's a showrunner on Calver Crew and Calver Digital, director and producer himself. And yeah, I'm really excited to get to know him and for you guys to ask him questions. So, without further ado, let's show you the two-player mode. 1 second. Here we go. This is Nick.
What's up?
Say hello to Nick.
Hey, am I live? Okay, cool. Hey,
Yes.
I'm Nick. Like Calvin said, I'm a director, a producer. I showrun the Corridor Crew channel, which basically means wearing a lot of hats. It's kind of a creative producing role, honestly. But yeah, I mean, look, I just like creating. I'm super interested in all this stuff that you're working on, AI workflows and all that stuff. And yeah, we're just here to talk creative shop a little bit.
Hell yeah.
So excited
hell
to get into it. Yeah.
Oh, and if anyone wants to check out Nick's your personal project, right? History at Home.
Yeah, that is a little personal side channel I got going on. Very, very separate from Corridor, but check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
For
actually
any history fans.
it's actually the QR code all the way down there in the corner. So if you guys want to check it out, just quickly scan that and you're on the YouTube.
Well, I appreciate the shout out.
For sure, man. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm super happy that you're here with us. Maybe just tell a little bit about where you come from and how you got where you currently are.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I've been making movies. I've always wanted to make movies, like many filmmakers, right? Like since you were like 10 years old. I was very fortunate to have a father who was in the film industry to some respect. So I grew up, my dad was an art director. So he was designing visual effects elements, basically the characters, anything that, ILM had to then go and build in visual effects with compositing, matte paintings, some CGI then he would be designing. So I grew up, walking through the halls of this what I didn't even know was like a, kind of prolific VFX house, Industrial Light and Magic. Just, seeing all this art on the walls, in the art department, like seeing all these crazy artists that are just like in their element. And I just took that for granted. And I was like, oh, this is normal. This is like what a job is. This is where my dad goes to work. And,
that's what every kid sees.
Yeah. And, I didn't really want to be in the visual effects side. I really wanted to tell the stories and have the camera in my hand. So yeah, I just started making movies and I would make them with my friends and post them on YouTube. And I did that for a long time. And, at that point, YouTube was kind of becoming this thing where short films could actually get views. And it was like, whoa, I can upload this and get, 20,000 views and build a small following. And through that, I met some really close, dear filmmaking friends. And through them, I ended up meeting, Clinton Jones and then Sam and Nico and Freddie and Brett Driver and all kind of that early Corridor gang. And that's how we all connected originally, was through YouTube filmmaking. So nothing's really changed. It was just a lot smaller back in, 2008, 2009. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the path has not really stopped when it comes to YouTube and filmmaking for me. It's kind of what I've been doing. I mean, that's where I started putting my films and that's where I'm still putting them. So, and so far it's working. So
I see.
I'm still able to pay rent. No, but it's, it wasn't the path that I originally, saw for myself because there wasn't YouTube when I really first was like, I want to make movies. I just wanted to make full feature films, Lord of the Rings and all the stuff that inspired me. Mostly Lord of the Rings. I literally made a knockoff of Lord of the Rings called The War of Orcs and Men or some stuff.
Oh, really? Is that online?
It was basically just an excuse to get all my friends together and we would just freaking battle each other and we'd have some people filming it and we'd just go through the footage after. And that was really, it was like playing make-believe, but with purpose, So, but it was a really good opportunity to just exercise your imagination and just kind of learn what it is to direct people, and or not actually, more so not, but yeah.
Just letting people do what they feel like doing.
Yeah, I mean that's funny. Some directors, go with that approach in their professional careers too. So maybe there's something I could use.
Yeah. Did it also happen to you, like this Orcs and Men short film? Like, was it also way too big? Like, I know a lot of like filmmakers, when they start out, they sometimes just start out doing like a whole feature film, right? And they never are able to finish it because it's just like
Yeah.
so much.
No, you called me out, man. I mean, I've never finished the film. Like it was like on mini DV tapes, So I think I ingested them back in like 2009, digitized them, so I have them digital somewhere on a hard drive. The footage is there, and at one point in like film school, I started editing through it, and I was like, "This is way too much right now." So someday maybe I'll release my first ever short film if I ever edit it. But yeah, there were like VFX comps. We were doing like crowd duplication, like simple stuff.
Oh,
But
really?
like for like an 11-year-old, it was like really like, oh shit, you can like set the camera up and then like duplicate things. Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Crazy.
that's still for 11-year-old pretty advanced. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I had some help from a VFX artist father, so it was a little bit of a cheat, but yeah, that's kind of like how I guess I got interested in filmmaking. I'm very fortunate. I consider myself fortunate because I've always just known what I wanted to do. So it's not very complex for me. It's just like it's
been pretty
the
like
first thing I ever
path.
wanted to do, and I guess I'm doing it kind of. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, that is fortunate, but like also really inspiring for people to like see someone who could like follow what they want to and like see where that could lead, right? So yeah, I think it's pretty inspiring to look at and to understand your creative process.
I think if there's any like takeaway from it, it would just be like make stuff, like make a lot of stuff, because that's how literally I got the job and the friends and the kind of creative group that I'm still working with now. Is I just made stuff, I put it out there, we all saw it, and we were like, hey, we're making kind of similar stuff, all of us together. And then we bonded over it, and it was like that proof of work almost that was able to lead to God, what became the rest of my life. So if I had just gone out with my friends and made the jankiest movies ever and then posted them, then none of it would have happened. And like a lot of people are asking, like I get people ask, like, do I need to go to film school? Or like, how much money do I need to make my thesis project? Or, like, how do I break in? And it's just like, just make as much crap as you can. And it can be crap. It doesn't need to be good. Just make it, put it up, move on with your life. Don't get stuck on a project for years. Like follow through is so important. So yeah, just getting it out and posting it is like the most important thing. Because the worse it is, almost the better, honestly. Because like the worse it is, like exercise the demons from your system, and like you learn from that, and you say, I never want to make that mistake again, because I can't even bear to watch it. And
yeah. I mean,
myself, but
no,
that's
I think you're right.
I think you're right.
You need to make mistakes. You need to. I mean, if you don't make mistakes, you're not going to learn that quickly. Like making mistakes is the fastest way to learn something, right? But you just got to make a lot of them, and then you'll get better.
Yes. I feel like with filmmaking, sometimes it's a slow process to learn it, because you'll spend a long time, a year on a short film or something, and then you can't bear to watch it because you've already in the year of just editing it and living with every frame and every vibe, it's like you digested it creatively, and by the time it's done, for me, I can't even watch the thing. I'm like, I want to make something now that's way better than everything I just made, or at least doesn't have the same pitfalls. So yeah, it's kind of a weird, painful process sometimes, but hey, that's what we do.
Yeah, I think most creatives are like that, where they don't like to look at their old work that much, right? It's because it just makes them feel ashamed, I guess, or like what's the thing that you feel when you finish something?
No, I just feel like it's like when you cook your own food versus ordering food, from a restaurant, something, or a really nice restaurant. It's like if I'm cooking the same recipe for a year, I'm not going to want to eat that recipe again, you know? And like the feature I just finished, I was cooking that recipe for 3 years. I
Let
don't
him
want to eat
cook.
that for a long time. You know, I'm good. I think I need to
Yeah.
move on, go on a diet, and focus on some new
Yeah, I
nutrition.
mean,
So,
yeah, I guess it's a completely different experience. Yeah, I like the idea of the restaurant where you can like sit down and just enjoy something, right? Something that someone else thought of and that surprises you. But if you watch your own thing, there's no surprises, right? It's just like, oh, I know this, and like this the backstory. It's just a complete different experience, I guess, and it's not an experience that everybody likes. Then.
totally. And that's why it's nice to like have different creative outlets too, because like filmmaking for me is a really slow burn because you know it takes so long to get a film made normally, um, unless you're like some crazy fast you know filmmaker who just pumps stuff out, and they do exist, but like that's why I've really been enjoying like working with AI tools and like getting into some more quick you know even CG art here because like it's just a quicker payoff and I can the process the wheels just turn faster I feel like so
Yeah.
yeah it's been nice. So,
Yeah, and yeah, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, like filmmaking is really just so much planning and preparation that it can distract you from the creativity itself. Like still, like the planning preparation can be fun for people, but like for me personally too, I think that's why I find what I find in music, like the immediate gratification of creativity, right? Because there's no planning. You can just sit down, play some melodies, put in some beats, and you instantly can be creative in comparison to filmmaking, where like kind of the concepting stage can be like instant creativity, which is really nice. But like everything after that just takes so much planning and so much executional prowess that yeah, it can get a bit exhausting if you don't have a different outlet, maybe.
no totally I have found solace in music because of that too. I have a problem though and this might explain my mentality is like I'll get in there, I'll write the main like melody, the main beat, and then I won't be able to write a freaking like chorus or a bridge to it. Like I just my inspiration is like out for that beat. Like does that make sense? Like
Yeah. No, but it's
it's
fine.
just
It's
like I
fine.
can't find inspiration in that song to like make an alternation for like a chorus or bridge. So I'm not a true
Yeah.
songwriter yet, but we'll get there. And then I
But
just move on to a new thing. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, and then I just start
yeah,
doing a new
but I think
thing.
that's totally cool because I don't think you need to pressure yourself to like make music how it's supposed to be made, right? Like it's
That's
your
true.
music doesn't need to have a chorus or a bridge. Just like yeah, be creative in that moment, right? Just like use it for the purpose that it gives you, right? To feel that
Yeah,
instantaneous creativity.
yeah. I should really have like a little like OP1 or something right here, just to like
Mm.
you know like free my mind intermittently. You know.
Yeah, those are really fun. I played around with them a bit.
Yeah. Same man. I really want to get one.
Let's move on to the next topic. Like we already like talked
Sure.
so much about this. Like, but, yeah, it's
Yeah.
all right. Let's get to kind of like I want to figure out what your favorite creative project or experience in this whole field was. Like, kind of like a little story that you could tell.
Yeah. Create relating to filmmaking or just to is this something like recent that you're asking about or is it just like
I
in general?
in general, yeah, I guess in general, filmmaking related would make sense. But yeah, just like something that pops to your mind that's like, oh yeah, this was a crazy experience.
Well, I mean, I would probably have to talk about the feature film I just finished because that was
Mm.
like you know, so I work in YouTube. That's my career is like internet filmmaking now. You know,
Mhm.
Corridor is this really unique little company in that like we take YouTube extremely seriously. We really hustle. We're very structured, like a big production company, but we're just
Mm.
making YouTube content. Now, like I said, I always wanted to make a narrative feature film since I was like 10 years old, you know, had a camera in my hand. So me and a couple friends and other filmmakers decided let's just do it. And we kind of, three of us paired up, produced a feature film. And it took about 3 years to get it, you know, from beginning to end. And the whole process, I basically did this on my nights and weekends.
Oh wow.
And because like I was still working at Corridor, and I didn't want that to like take away from it, because this was a personal project, you know. And I also really care about the Corridor Crew channel and like keeping that going, and I didn't want to abandon it. So I was just like, oh, I'll just do two things then. How about that? And it kind of like murdered me mentally, but we got it done. And it was like, it's like you could go to film school or you could just try to make a janky feature film. And I would always suggest the latter, because at the end of it, at least you'll have a film, you know.
Yeah.
And you won't, and you'll be in debt to the film and not some random corporation that, you know, who owns educational facilities. So, yeah, it was like literally going to film school again. I wish I hadn't gone to film school and I just made a film, you know, 5 years, 10 years ago. So
Yeah. Maybe on that topic, I wanna like add like that I know a few friends who did that, right? They instead for Ian Hubert, for example, too. Like he didn't go to film school; he just made his Project London feature film, and I think it's even more relevant now because like even movie productions get way more individual and like smaller production teams. So I think in film school, like in the classic film schools, you learn also the classic like workflows and the kind of how teams are structured and the positions. But I think more and more people wear more hats and they can do more different things. So I think actually doing a full movie and like going through all the struggles to like actually get it done and kind of treat that as your film school makes even more sense now than it ever did before, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, totally. And also, like there's such a like a glamour and a romanticism to like the on-set production that a lot of film schools only focus on, and a lot of students only want to focus on. I mean, the schools are catering to the clientele, but you know, most people just think about production when it's like making my feature, but really it's like most of the work came after, even after post. Like post, it's fine, like yeah, edit it, but it's like, what do you do with your film afterwards? There's a whole business side, there's a whole marketing side and politics side that was really crazy to just like stumble through and kind of pick up the lessons along the way. So, you know, it's everything from like, where do you distribute a film these days? Like, are there even channels for indie filmmakers? Is there a middle class for film, like for filmmaking? Because you used to have like different opportunities for distribution that had revenue, right? As an indie filmmaker, on YouTube, it's ad revenue. For films, it used to be like Redbox or like VOD. You had like cable companies would like do rentals, and they still do, and they license films on there, but it's smaller now.
Excuse me, what is Redbox? I have not heard of that before.
So in the US at least, there was a like a physical like kiosk, like box. You'd see them at supermarkets and like, you know, Walmart or Target or whatever, or drugstores, and they'd be movie rental, like DVD rentals and Blu-ray rentals. So like it's like a vending machine. It's a vending machine for.
Oh, just a vending machine. Okay, that's kind of interesting. So you had to
they would
return
cut
them?
deals.
Or
Yeah, and then you return them. Yep, you return them.
Wow.
So that was kind of cool. And that was just one example of what I'm talking about, like this kind of mid-revenue stream for filmmakers, because they'd offer, you know, a couple $100K maybe for a license on a film. But now we're in a place where, as an indie filmmaker, you're sitting there with a film and you're just looking at a bunch of streaming, you know, companies, and they have a monopoly right now. Like, there's no other way to get your film out. Like, you have to like make a deal with these devils. And they basically say, this is what I learned. They basically say, kiss the ring. You're lucky to be on our platform because that's the only way you're getting seen. So what I learned is that making YouTube is way fucking better than putting 3 years into a feature film.
Oh, that's a. I mean, to like for your younger self, maybe that would be a tough lesson to learn, right? Like that you want to always do a feature film, so then that happens.
Totally, man. I think it's like, yeah. I mean, it's also like, I was just thinking in a fucking 1900s mindset, though. You know, like let's be real. Like, I didn't even know YouTube was going to be a viable way of reaching people, and it's like, okay. Spend 3 years making a film. It's really cool. I feel personally good about it. But then the video I make weekly reaches and affects so many more people through YouTube. than that film will ever affect. No matter how poignant the message of the movie is, it's like, I don't know, man. It made me realize how awesome the internet and like this new model that maybe we look down on a little bit, or like at least, you know, me and my 1900s mindset used to look down on, at least at a personal level, like, oh, I don't want to, you know, spend my whole life making YouTube stuff. But really, it's like, if you can reach people and you can teach people and inspire people, then dude, like, and you're doing that with a wide reach, wide umbrella, then I don't know. I think for me, it was like an opportunity to reframe that kind of mentality.
Yeah, man. That's really interesting, because I like when I was at the code office and I talked with some of you guys, like it really feels like everyone kind of came to that conclusion, right? Because also Sam and Nico, they wanted to do feature films and stuff, and they also seem really happy about now where you guys are at, and like that you are able to do this.
Yeah, I think, you know, like that's all for Sam and Nico. That's like also just like me. They're a little bit older than me, but we all kind of had that same vision, right? Because it's like growing up on The Matrix and Gladiator and whatever, you know, like Die Hard and stuff. Like that's kind of like you think of the feature as the ultimate format, and I think we still want to dabble in that, all of us creatively. It's just like, it's almost nice that it's not the only way now, you know? So it's almost, I don't know. It's like it's relieving a lot of that creative pressure, I think, for everyone at the company, which is why we've all kind of just been like, hey, this is actually a really fortunate thing. And it's, you know, we should really just run with it and try to put as much creative energy into this and not use it as a stopgap, you know? Like, This isn't really it's not a halfway point. It's not bridging us into Hollywood, because you look at Hollywood and you're like, that's not really a place I want to operate in if we have this, you know? So I don't know, man. Like, it's like in Monty Python, they're like, let's not go to Camelot. It's a silly place, you know? Like, let's not go to Hollywood.
Such a silly place.
It's a silly place, yes. Hollywood, they have writer's strikes and they have, you know, politics involved. They have, you know, boards of people writing stuff. It's like, come on, like, where's the creativity? Where's the...
Sounds stressful, yeah.
But so, but again, I speak from an extremely like fortunate point of view, being able to survive not in that system. So, you know, I don't know how applicable all this stuff is, other than like, hey, you can do it and you can, you know, make stuff outside of that. So
yeah, I think it's applicable. It's very true right now, right? Like all the new content creators and creatives growing up, they are in this this space, right? And they need to understand how this space works. So I think probably not a lot of them want to go to Hollywood at this time. I think whenever I talk to younger people, it's definitely more smaller productions and working on their own kind of like realization of themselves and what they want to bring to the world, instead of like being in big machines. So
that's really interesting to hear, because like there definitely is a generational difference there between, I think, what maybe we, you know, had when we were just kind of breaking in or just becoming, you know, excited about the industry. So yeah, because again, it was like back then there weren't really, besides iJustine and Philip DeFranco and like, you know, Ray William Johnson, like no one was making their living on YouTube. So it was all just like, hey, if I go viral, maybe I can like become famous and make a movie, you know? So
yeah, it was always the way to Hollywood, basically, right? Like people saw it.
Yeah. Why have all those middlemen? Why do that?
Maybe a little to like wrap this topic up. Is the feature film you're doing, like, is it going to be released soon, or is it already watchable somewhere?
So yeah, so part of that process was, you know, once we finished it, you take your film and you have to sell it, right? And the way you do that generally is you get a sales agent. So we were able to pitch it. We found an agent who wanted to take it as part of their stable of films, and then they go and go to film markets. They're like physical film markets that happen. There's the European film market, you know, obviously the American film market is huge, AFM, which happens in LA. And these happen every year, and all agents get together and they all wheel and deal and sell these films to distro houses, basically. So right now we're distributed domestically here in the US on Amazon and I believe Tubi. You can watch it for free with ads. And we took that deal because they offer ad rev to the filmmakers. They're the only streaming service, Tubi, that offers cents on the view to the creator, which is really cool.
Yeah.
As a YouTube guy, I kind of connected with that. You know, I know Tubi gets shit, but like, you know, we got to make our money back somehow. So we're not for a long time if it makes it feel better. But yeah.
Nick, would you like? Should we show the trailer for that film? Would you be down for that?
Yeah, we could do that. That'd be fun.
Right.
It's called The Girl in the Backseat. I don't know if you can bring it up. Let me try to.
Yeah, I can bring it up.
I think it might be on Tubi on the trailer. Let's see.
Got it. The trailer that I found is like a year old. Is that the right one?
Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll switch to the desktop viewer for a moment so we can all watch the trailer together that you worked on.
Oh man, I haven't watched this in a long time.
All right, let's check out Nick's feature film. Here we go.
Eu penso em ti e no papá, na nossa casinha e no Carlos.
Porque quando pensamos em coisas boas,
as coisas más não têm lugar.
Assim, o nome dele é Hunter.
Foi incrível vocês ainda nem se conheceram e ele já te oferece relógios.
I was waiting for someone.
I'm Ryan.
Sophia.
Oh shit, that's a quick turnaround.
Let me go.
Yeah.
Please. I don't have anything.
I have a mom. She'll be your mom too.
Sofia, Portugal.
I'm in here, just like you.
Oh man, this is creepy.
Bodies
Wow.
out. You don't want to
Yeah.
die.
It's a rough one.
Then block some shit out.
Subject matter is quite rough.
Oh, that looks very intense. I mean, I'm super interested. This looks really
Yeah.
good, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, the trailer really came together. But no, I'm very proud of the film. We had no budget for it, so you know, it was like just.
Oh, really? Like
scraping
zero
by.
budget movie?
I mean, like enough to rent locations. I think our budget total was like it was like 40 to 60 maybe, like over the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely low
So-
budget. It's very, very low.
Well, yeah, anything under 100K is like no budget.
Yes.
So it's basically just like gas money at that point. So-
I see.
but
So,
yeah, I mean, you know, the hope is that, you know, that can be a calling card of like proof of work. You know, it's like if we can make that for zero money, what could we make for a little bit of money, like a couple mil? You know, just some pennies. Just
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
just a few buckaroos,
but,
a few shillings.
It was really fun though to and we made it all during COVID, by the way, so that was a fun
Ah,
thing. I know like COVID movies are like old news now, but this was like not just a webcam movie. Like we had to like I had to direct with a mask on, man. It sucked. Oh my god.
yeah, I mean, it's like a few days, like from my experience, like working on set in COVID, like a few days is fine, but like if you're on a shoot for like multiple weeks, it really gets exhausting.
And it was really like anxiety provoking because, you know, we put all this work into like setting up everything's coming together, and we would shoot mostly on weekends. We did one 10-day block over Christmas, but the rest of it was all weekends because of my work schedule. So, excuse me. So every week the whole crew would break and like go back to quarantine basically. And it was like every Thursday we had to test everyone so that by Friday we'd have results, and then Saturday we'd figure out, can we go to set and keep making our movie? so luckily, but dude,
stressful.
like, it's a freaking miracle. And also the crew was just like so amazing that they were safe and didn't like go get sick. No one got sick. We didn't have any delays due to COVID. We had some scares, but it was all good. So.
Oh yeah, no, I'm impressed. I'm happy to hear that yeah, you guys found a distributor now. So it's like we can stream it right now, right? Yeah, it says now streaming on Tubi.
Yeah, you
and
can stream it now.
Video.
I don't think we found German distribution yet, but we're piecing away at the international. So
come on, man, what the hell?
That's how it works. It's by territory, right? So like each language has its own territory. So like you'll have like the German-speaking nations. And then, you know, the French-speaking nations are usually all one territory because, you know, they're all the same language. So,
you just get a
we're
nice
piecing away at it. Yeah, you can stream us in like random countries. I think we've gotten like half the countries now. So we're still trying to get a Germany deal. So if you know anyone, let us know, man.
I'll see if I have a connection. But yeah, I'm excited to watch this.
I'm sure it'll happen.
I'm also really interested in kind of like after finishing this movie, I guess, and like kind of wrapping that up, like what is your goal for the next year? Like looking into the future 1 year from now, like what do you want to be doing by then? Or yeah, what do you want to have experienced?
Well, after the movie, my goal for this year was restore my work-life balance, you know, and like be able to come home from working at Corridor and not have to like go into another job basically. So that's been really nice. I've like now like gotten to a good place where I feel a bit more normal and rested, and I can start jumping into more creative stuff again. I'm sure you can relate, and a lot of creatives can. Like it's hard to like turn it off sometimes. Like if I'm not like creating shit, I feel like I'm not doing anything. Like I just get depressed. So I need some creative project. And like recently I've been diving back into some like developing some old film concepts that kind of just sat there. So, you know, last winter, I was getting really into like using AI to help visualize some of this stuff as a director and previs stuff. And so, yeah, I've been kind of running with a couple of those ideas and kind of building out scripts and pitch packets basically. So, so still kind of trucking away on like filmmaking and, you know, storytelling for these kind of larger scale ideas that I kind of want to make eventually. But besides that, I've been getting really into CAD modeling, 3D printing, making shit. Like that's another kind of fun thing. So yeah, my goal for this year would be to have, you know, both of the projects that I've been working on in a pretty pitchable state. That would be my goal. Yeah. So a lot of development this year.
A lot of brainstorming, a lot of long nights.
Fun. It's so fun to like. It's so satisfying to like get a concept that you've been thinking about onto paper. I'm sure people can relate. Just like having it there and being able to look at it and then digest it visually helps me a lot. So, but it's really hard sometimes to get there, you know, to like commit to the words and put them down.
Yeah, I had like I'm kind of like have like a series, an animated series idea in my head for the last 12 years. And I'm so anxious of actually writing it down because I feel like I'm not ready for this idea. So I want to keep, I don't know, you know what I mean, what I'm talking about? I just feel like it's not gonna be good enough. Like I'm personally like what I experienced in life is not, I'm not ready to tell the story, even though I really want to tell the story.
That is something I've felt a lot also that I can really relate to. It's like, do I deserve to tell this story? It's like,
am I the right person to do this? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I don't think we should gatekeep ourselves like that necessarily. I think, you know, do the research and try to give yourself the tools you would need to tell the story if you're feeling like you don't have the perspective to. But I don't know. I got some flack for trying to direct a movie about a woman who's kidnapped. That film watched. Like, I had some people make comments, and like there's even been some reviews, and like, you know, it's stuff like you can't really like look too far into it, and everyone has opinions about everything. And when you make art, that happens. You got to kind of let go.
Of course.
But at the same time, it's like I still think that as a human, I can relate to the plight of anyone who is kidnapped. So I tried to just like find things that were relatable, research what I can about human trafficking and like the stories of these victims. But yeah, I mean, I have never been trafficked, luckily. So, but should that keep me from being able to help tell a story? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I also think
I don't think we should be too precious with it like that. So
yeah, and I also think like you as the director don't need to put all that weight on your shoulders, because at the end of the day, filmmaking is a collaborative effort, right? And you just like need to find the perspectives of the people working on it that fit it, right? To like tell it, in the correct way. To me at least, that's the main job of the director, to like kind of get everyone's input and just like direct it in a direction, in a way that you know is going to work.
Totally, not to be a tyrant. Yes.
Yeah.
No, really. It's like you're just mixing all the inputs from your crew, you know, and you're just mastering it and making sure that it all fits into the mix that you have in mind. So yeah, no, I mean, the best directors are collaborative, and everyone we get on the couch who's really successful on the React show, the directors they all talk about positively are the ones who really respect the ideas of everyone who worked under them, and like really trust the team they've built. So exactly what you were saying, man. I mean, if you ever see someone and they have an ego on set and they, I mean, like sometimes I even make it this binary. Sometimes I'm like, if someone likes to watch their own work, red flag. like it's a bit binary, I know, but like what does that tell you? If someone's like, yeah, I'm amazing, my work is great, you know, like, does it tell you that they learn lessons and they're humble? I don't know.
It's I got
to look out for on set if you're getting started and you're with a douchebag. So
no, that's interesting that you bring it up, because
collaborators wisely.
I ask the question myself also, because I enjoy showing people my movies a lot, right? So I watch my movies a lot, but when I show other people my movies, I always look at them, right? Because I want to see their reaction. I want to see what they are feeling in each moment. So like I was also asking that question to myself a few times. Like, I'm watching my movies, so like I don't have a problem watching my movies. Like, am I kind of like self-centered? Like, what's happening here? So,
according to me, you are. You're horrible.
I'm a prick.
No. Look, I mean, I find that fascinating too. Like, seeing people's reactions to what you were going for is the most fascinating part. That was the coolest part about watching the movie eventually in a big theater. Was like, I was just like waiting for like, did that make a reaction? Did that make a reaction? So.
Yeah.
But other than that, I was just cringing. I was like cringing into another dimension, dude, the whole time. I was just like, I can't watch this. there's like a tiny buzz in the audio, or like there's like, that could have been better. That could have been better. That could have been better.
I mean, especially with feature films, I can imagine that being really exhausting. With short films, like, I don't know, like you can take 5-10 minutes out of your day to like show to someone, but like a whole feature film, that's a different kind of commitment.
Gosh, I know. And it's like, after you watch it 100 times, it's just like finding the like creative, inspirational stamina is really hard for me sometimes. Because like I get really inspired about stuff and then it burns out, you know? So one thing I've been trying to do is like not edit my own stuff. So like having an editor who's really good, taking a crack so I can like keep it fresh and keep a fresh perspective really has helped me a lot with that stamina problem, with like being able to retain inspiration in something and keep a freshness to it.
That's a good
tip. I think a lot of
editor.
Well, yeah, I mean, like it's precisely outsourcing that process that I think can really help. Maybe if you struggle with that, like collaborate with people. Don't take it all on your shoulders. So
For sure, yeah.
anyway, but
Alright.
that's easier said than done though, because finding a really, really solid editor who knows exactly what you want is really hard.
Dude, yeah, that's been also one of my main problems with like running a company over the last 4 years. With like, there are only if like there are like really people you can trust to like deliver and like really be very collaborative. There's actually not that many people that you can work really well with together, and yeah, when they're not available, it's so hard to like get things going sometimes. So
Yeah, man. I mean, when you find a good collaborator, yeah, don't take it for granted. They're not as replaceable as you'd think. I mean, that's why, you know, you see like Tarantino, he had his same editor for all of his career almost until she passed.
Yeah,
Because he found he found someone who got him, and he was just like, yo, like, you helped my process. Like, she was able to take a lot of what he was thinking and like lay it out in a way he'd never even thought about before, you know, but that still worked. So
yeah,
gosh,
to be
yeah,
really
maybe we all have
thankful.
a Sally Mink, you know, yeah, maybe we all find someone like that. So who can like help with that creative process. It's just, yeah.
I would like
yeah,
to...
next feature film I do. I was like, next feature film I do, one of the big takeaways was I need my editor like there, like from the beginning, like just like a producer would be in pre-production, like have the editing team in.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just like they should be there on set doing assemblies and stuff. Like I feel like the process can be streamlined a lot. Anyway, well, we can get into that another time.
Interesting. Yeah, so basically
It's
that
just
the
like
film
ways
already
to
happens
streamline
while
it,
it's
like-
being filmed.
Yeah, with a feature, because like it's so much. It's like, how do you just like not get stuck, you know, on like a creative pothole, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, I can imagine that could also be fun for editors, right? To just like kind of like travel with them, with the crew, and like be there, like kind of like get the vibe, and then just every day like assemble what they get. I think it could be fun, yeah.
Yes. Because like there was a thing that happened where we hired this really talented, amazingly talented professional editor for our edit, and the fact that we'd already been done shooting. Like they had just started reading the script. It was like there was a lot of communication and creative stuff that didn't translate in that time, no matter how many meetings I had with them. So like I got the film, and it was like honestly very scary, because it was like, this is not the film we wanted. This is not the film that was on the page. And then it was like, now I had to go back and basically micromanage the edit to get it to where we wanted. And that took an extra like 6 months, you know? So like having the editor there on set, familiar with the footage, familiar with the beats, God, that would have helped so much. I wish we'd done that. Anyway.
I see.
That's those big lessons where you're like, dang. Anyway. I know you're trying to move on to the next segment here.
Yeah. I would like to talk with you about. I mean, all this info is super exciting. I just don't wanna take too much of your time, so I wanna like get going a little bit more.
Of course, yeah. Let's get into it.
All right. Okay, so let's go a little bit more into what you can kind of like think of the creative industry as a whole right now, like kind of like the state of it. I think we talked a little bit about separate parts of it, but do you see like a big shift or like some kind of like bigger change happening currently?
I mean, how can you not see it? It's yes, it's crazy. There are changes happening. They're crazier and faster and maybe a little bit more prolific than they've ever been. With the whole AI thing, as I'm sure you've talked about extensively, it's kind of what's on everyone's minds right now is AI. How's that going to change things? I feel like a lot of people, and I don't really feel strongly one way or another. I think there's a lot of tools, and if we can use them creatively, like I gave a whole talk about this last year. So I'm very like on board with AI. Like I think it can be used ethically. It can be eventually used ethically. A lot of it right now is not, and it's screwing over artists, and I don't like that at all. So, we always have to be, I think, cognizant of the fact that this is kind of ethically gray area. So use it respectfully and try to not be ripping people off as much as you can, Anyway, that being said, I don't think there's ever been a time in the industry where there's been any sense of stability. And I feel like people have this sense that there was a status quo that's now changing and being broken, when that's never been the reality.
What would be the status quo?
Sorry?
What would have been the status quo that's being broken now?
The status quo of humans manually rotoscoping everything, for example. Mm-hmm. The status quo of the VFX industry needs to be thousands of artists in a sweaty warehouse, in cubicles. The status quo of, now those cubicles are being outsourced to countries that we can get cheap labor, and don't have like ethics standards and stuff. Very exploitative part of the industry that also screws over people, who are in the US or whatever, where these companies are officially, located, So like, I don't really, and I'm not saying we should be taking jobs away from those countries. They're amazing. I mean, they provide so much work for these developing places. But at the same time, I don't think there was ever this like golden time of like, yeah, everyone here is just getting paid to be artists and like we're so valued. Like, I don't know. Did we ever have that? Was there ever a stable time?
I mean, maybe in the very beginning. But like maybe in the very beginning, where
everyone was figuring it out.
Yeah.
And like,
I feel like from what I've heard, like in the beginning, you needed to be like an extreme expert in some way, right? Like you need to have like some kind of computer science degrees, and like you needed, you would be a very hot commodity, right? Like someone who like worked like the half of their life already to be ready for this kind of work, right? Because it was just so difficult to do. I think in that time when you were in those positions, it would be was probably a very thankful environment and stuff like that. But I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that's still the case. I think having a specialty is still something that's valuable. Studying the principles of art. Look, AI is not going to make human creativity, human art, human ability to judge what is meaningful go away. It's going to, what it will do is create a situation where we have way more bad stuff, and we're going to have to learn to discern a little bit better creatively as consumers of art. But that's also been the case with every past digital tech and entertainment tech advancement that's happened. Like my dad, who was like the ILM art director, right? He was telling me, we were talking about AI like the other day, and what he always brings up is that like he literally got a degree for drafting. He was a graphic designer, artist, and they would draft and cut out paper. They'd put it on a drafting board, literally lay it out with glue, tacks, and then they'd get it printed and all that stuff. So blah, blah, blah. He graduates and like literally the next week, Photoshop 1's released, right? Mm-hmm. And everyone's freaking out. Everyone at his art schools is freaking out, man, because this is going to change everything. We just how much money did I just spend on crafts paper? God damn it. And everyone's like, look at all these fucking horrible fonts, dude. They took serif fonts and they just put them in Photoshop. What the fuck is that? And everyone's freaking out like what is Comic Sans? Everyone's going to be doing comic. And like, you see that in the 90s. You see this horrible art wave of just like everyone who's in art and has access to these new tools is just like, oh, I can use this font? Cool. Let's put fonts everywhere. Let's have 1 million fonts in one poster. And it's just like, you get this really janky explosion of like horrible 90s digital art. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a vibe now. It's an aesthetic that we kind of, it's like an appreciation of that aesthetic. But like, we've settled since then, right? Wouldn't you agree? Like, we've all decided, hey, that sucks. Or I don't want to look at that anymore. Yeah, and I want to look at things that are of quality.
whoever uses Comic Sans unironically is a mad lad.
Hey, big respect, big respect. But I guess my point is that, like, we will settle, I think, to a new normal with this stuff, as long as, like, we're not expecting it to settle. Does that make sense? Like, nothing's going to settle ever. You're never going to have full job security as a creative in a tech-related visual medium. I don't think that's ever going to be the case, and I think you should drop all illusions of that.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
as someone who is trying to especially get into visual arts, that's, you know, anything related to computers, AI, CG, get ready to jump into a new tool at any fucking moment and hit the ground running, because if you're not ready, it's going to leave you behind. And like, just all this stuff about, well, you know, art is dying and like, what are the opportunities for the artists? It's like, artists have always had to grasp at new tools to stay relevant. It's nothing new. I really don't think it's anything new.
Yeah, I mean, life as an artist has always been really difficult, and that's, I think, also why there's so many countries have like systems to support artists, because over time they realized art is important, but it's hard to be an artist. So yeah, that's why there's a lot of support for these kind of people too.
Yeah, man, and I don't know, like, obviously I'm speaking from a very privileged point where I don't, like, if anything, I make my living from learning about these tools and, you know, showing people these tools. So I have a bias inherently, I'm sure, you know. Also, as someone who just loves learning about stuff, and like, as a filmmaker who wants to make things that are out of my budget range, right? And there's all these gates that are being put around my ideas to be able to make them come to life. I see AI as something that's freeing creatively, you know, personally. And I think me and millions of others, I mean, it's not a unique thing. Like, you look at what these can do, and any creative says, that can help me make my vision come to life.
Yeah,
That is awesome. If you isolate that, that is what being an artist is, right? So forget about all the other noise that everyone's, you know, screaming about, and how the world is going to end and how human creativity is going to end. If this tool is helping me be creative and get my idea out there in the way I want it to, how is that not a tool for an artist, you know?
Yeah.
So
you're completely right with that. I agree on that. I think the biggest, like what you also talked about before with like the ethical use of AI, right? Like how it's that we need to make sure that it's ethical, like it's being made ethically, it's being used ethically, it's being like people are being compensated and stuff. I think that's, from what I see, like the biggest difference to past changes to the creative process and stuff. Because like I guess most of the time it was like tools that were like developed by companies, and maybe they did some unethical things, but with AI it's just like a big, much bigger unethical pool, I would say, of like stealing art and even like labeling the work of labeling pictures with words and stuff. Like also that is like a whole different topic on where those things have made. So yeah, just like that's a bit different, but like in the wise of it's like a new tool on the market and a new tool to be creative. That's not new. You're right. Yeah.
No, it's not. And like the ethical part is the hardest part. Obviously, like, I don't want to be throwing other artists under the bus to make my idea come to life, right? That's not the goal. The goal is to be able to harness the power of the pattern recognition that the latent space has, right? And be able to then just use the building blocks of that to help me, get past some of the gates that are shutting me from being able to see my idea come to life. If I want to have a movie with huge steampunk airships flying around, you know, and all this crazy shit happening, and AI is going to help me visualize that, is it better to not make the project?
No, I don't think so.
It's like, is it better to not make the project because I can't afford to hire $5 million of artists for 6 months, you know? Is it less artistic if it's me in my bedroom for 6 months, you know, typing into Stable Diffusion and mixing complex workflows over each other to create a unified like piece? Like, there's no one workflow in AI that's going to make an acceptable output right now. Like, you need to mix things. You need to like mix it with your own stuff, and that's like the whole thing. You know, with what Corridor did with the anime thing, with what Nico and Dean figured out. You know, with anime rock paper scissors, was that you can filter a lot. You can filter all those patterns into your own design, right? With models and stuff, which is awesome. And obviously they didn't figure that out, but we were able to use that to then take custom characters and like funnel all those patterns through the lens of those characters, right? Does that like, that's how I think about it. It's like, I think of the latent space. It's like taking 1 million pictures of dogs, you know, and it's just saying, here are all these dog patterns, right? And then when I type dog, it just averages those out, right? And a lot of those dogs are real dogs of people who are not, you know, they're illegal dog photos. Like, you're not allowed, you know, it's like non-ethical dog photos. But if I train a model on my fucking dog, that's my dog, and I say, hey, I want to create images of that, but using all the power of these, you know, poses that it knows and the patterns, it's like, I don't have a photo of my dog sitting down, but it has 1 million photos of dogs sitting down, so now I can apply my dog to it. I see that as a more ethical way if I'm running it through something that, you know, belongs to me, or a creative idea or a character that belongs to me.
It definitely adds something of your own to the whole process, yeah, which is very important to make it unique at some point, right?
I feel like it's all about the final output. Like, if I'm generating, like, dude, like the Stable Diffusion freaking communities are so like, I don't want to say like cringy, but it's all just like anime titties, dude. It's all just like the same crap. It's like the same thirsty, like neckbeard stuff where it's like, hey guys, I just had a breakthrough. You want to check out my freaking awesome Stable Diffusion video? And it's just like standard anime girl with like 2 pigtails, you know, dancing. And it's like, that I can directly tie back to the original artist, right? You could find the deviant artist who drew all those anime chicks with the 2 pigtails or whatever, and like that is appearing in the outputs of these people, right? Because they're not changing anything. They're not putting them through any LoRa's, any actual models that are custom made. They're just taking the output and saying, this is my result. Aren't I a good artist? It's like, no. Run it through your own fucking designs, you know? Like, take the power of the latent space and channel it through your own creativity to make it your own. And then I think maybe you can get past that ethical border where it's like, even though the model is taking the patterns of all this art that's out in the world and it isn't ethical, maybe there's a fact of me running just the base like pattern data through my own specific output. Does that make it more ethical? I don't know. I mean, it's something I literally debate with people about. I literally
it's
have debated with people because it's like, that's what we do as humans kind of creatively, right? Like, I saw Lord of the Rings as a 10-year-old and I said, I want to make this. So guess what I did? I got my friends together and we dressed up like Lord of the Rings characters, orcs and knights, you know, and we copied that. We straight up copied Lord of the Rings. And that's how I found my like creative purchase as a young, you know, 11-year-old kid. You got the confidence to make stuff. But if you have people sitting there saying, hey, 11-year-old, don't copy something that already exists, you know, because that's not original. This is the death of creativity, 11-year-old. Like, you think that would have like given me inspiration? I don't know.
I think it's I think what you did, for example, right? Like trying to like copy your favorite movie is something like you had a direct connection to the movie. You knew your inspiration, your ideas came from that movie. But I think maybe the difference to AI now with like Stable Diffusion and stuff, you don't see. There's no indication of where your result comes from, right? Like you type something in and it feels like it's your result because you have no connection to where this comes from, right? Like I think maybe we just need to educate people about the appreciation of art, right? Or just like artists who came before us and how Stable Diffusion works, right? Like, and I mean that's gonna happen, right? Like it's getting normalized, Stable Diffusion AI, and so people will be interested and like there will be a lot of information out there how it actually works. I think that's important to like appreciate what you get out of these tools, and like not feel like it's a whole completely your creation, but it's a collaboration of people who came before you.
Totally. I hope that happens, man. I really hope. I look forward to the day where we can all be working off an ethical model, right? That is like really ethical and they've made a point of only training on actual licensed stuff. I can't wait for that day till we can get all this like art stealing behind us. Like,
yeah, that's definitely something everybody needs to push for, because it's the only correct way forward. Yeah.
That will be a great day. But until then, try to filter everything through your own custom models and LoRa's if you can. Really, like, you need to put some sort of, like, my whole talk last year was like, how many steps of human creativity can you put into the process of AI? You can put a lot. Like, you can do a lot of things that changes it from a generic output to something that you actually devised of. And it's like, the way I was talking about it, which might resonate with people, is you have like pre-gen and post-gen, right? And like a lot of these workflows that are like mid-journey workflows, at least at that time, were all post-gen. Like you would put your prompt in mid-journey, you generate, and then you would take that generation and then run it through a bunch of other stuff. You put it through, like fucking Descript to get voice, and then you put it through, a fucking software to get the mouth to move. You'd get something for parallax, you'd do like Gen 2 or something to get some camera move or something. But you're all working off an unethically sourced output, right? Everything's coming from an unethical output because there's been no filtering before you got your original output. But if you train LoRa's, you train models, and you start there, and then you take that all pre-gen, right? So like, I'm only generating a character that I have designed and taken photos of, and like, it's my character that's showing. It's the actor I hired, with the costume I designed. That's the output. Now I can take that and post-gen it into all the filters I want, and it's like, that's only adding now more layers between the unethical bullshit, that's in the model.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
And I feel like until we have fully ethical models, that's kind of the best way to do it, is like make sure that what I'm showing people as an AI generation has almost nothing of another artist's work in it. That's actually like visible, Like I was doing everything from making models because like I was trying to generate film frames, right? So like in my LoRa model, I would not only train the character I wanted, but I'd train the background I wanted, like custom backgrounds. So then everything I generated was custom, right? Every single thing that's in that frame, it's my character, my background, my set. And, I just feel like if you're going to sit here and say that's unethical, then I'm going to say it's unethical to be inspired by Lord of the Rings, like at that point.
That process definitely gets us closer. Like still you're using, of course, all the data sets that those models use to then work with your LoRa's and models still like not changed, right? But it's definitely a good step towards that. And yeah, we just really need to wait and like fight for those completely ethical models and support them, right? Like that's just what we have to do.
And also, like, I think there's also a lot that will be like introduced in like being able to trace the like genetics of your prompt, kind of like even in Comfy now, you can like pop in an image and it'll show you the whole chain that the whole workflow will pop up.
Interesting.
To how they like, you can take any AI generated image and just pop it into Comfy UI and the whole node tree will appear. It's like,
wow.
You can, as long as it's not a screenshot, right? So the metadata is there. And I feel like if there was a way for artists who are in these ethical models to like earn cents on every generation that uses their shit, like imagine the revenue stream that could add for artists. That could create incentive to be part of AI generation and not like shy away from it. If you could make a revenue stream, because there's so little freaking revenue streams right now for artists, man, like filmmakers, musicians, anyone.
Yeah.
And AI isn't helping. AI is not helping, so I get it. I get it. But I feel like we'll arrive. It's just so soon, It's just so new. So
Yeah. But that's a really good point, and like kind of like putting the metadata of how the image was generated, basically like pointing to the original artists and stuff. Like even if it's just like below 1%, right?
Yeah.
Because they're sourcing from so many artists that that's just like, because everybody is using these tools now. Like everybody does generation with them, and a lot of people also have subscriptions and they pay for them. So at the end, I think it will add up to something for artists who are willing to provide their work to these data sets.
Totally. I do, whenever I see AI generated stuff, I kind of just like, well, AI can tell, right? Can you tell when you see it?
Most of the time, like it definitely gets harder, but most of the time I can still do it. Yeah.
I've started seeing ads and stuff like on Instagram, like there's like AI generated stuff coming up. Like it's crazy, man. But like, I think people are really scared and like, it's not that good yet, so it has a long way to go. But again, it's the worst it'll ever be. Every day, it's the worst it'll ever be. So
Yeah. I would like to see, like now that we talked about this stuff, like do you see, I guess, like any big opportunities, kind of like fields in the industry that are opening up, like through these new tools or through these new developments?
I mean, specifically, it's hard to say, man. I feel like a lot of this stuff comes down to the individual to learn the tools. So it's really hard to speak to like whether there's going to be professionals that are like, hey, man, like I'm a model maker, an AI model maker or whatever, like, or I'm a AI model generator. Cause like, again, it's all going to be moving so fast. I don't feel like there's ever going to be a time where that career can actually like solidify, if that makes sense. Hello?
Okay.
Oh. I mean, look, like anyone who's worked in AI and like made a name working in AI has probably already been hit up to consult for some like, legacy media company who wants to learn the tools. Like you can make money consulting on AI tools right now. And teaching it to like, older people who don't really grasp the tech or whatever. But it's hard. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I have an answer to that question when it comes to AI. Everything's just becoming more and more centered around the individual creator. Like it's more important to have faculty over every step of the process now. So, specialization is important, but it's also not, I think, as valuable these days, honestly, unless you're like in a union or something. But
see, so you would say like if like the industry definitely favors generalists right now instead of like specialists.
Completely. That's kind of one of my missions this whole year is like I need to expand my skill set. So not only AI generation but 3D modeling, Unreal Engine, like, so I've been learning all that stuff. Like I want to be able to get normal maps and then pump them through Stable Diffusion. I want to be able to do every step in the process. I want to be able to model my own, steampunk airship and then put that into Blender, make a normal map and then texture that with Stable Diffusion. Like you need to know every step in the pipeline now, at least the basics of it. So saying I'm just a Blender artist, like that's only going to get you so far now,
Yeah, but luckily also tools are getting easier, so it's not as hard to be a generalist as it used to be.
Oh, totally, man. And I'm so grateful for that because for all of us scatterbrained creatives, it makes it easy,
Yeah, man.
Just a little bit of just a couple tutorials and you'll get it down. Anyway, it's super exciting. I really am not done with trying to fuck around with AI tools, at least as one part in the creative process. So my goal for this year is to actually implement that stuff in a piece. So keep your eyes out. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna stay excited for that.
Yes.
I want to see if I see we have 2 students here in our Discord call. Is anyone interested in talking to Nick, having like a question about something specific? We will give you 10 seconds to answer.
No pressure.
To answer the call.
What up, son?
What up?
It's Concesio.
How's your latest short film going?
Who's speaking right now?
Connor.
What's up, Connor? How's my latest short film going?
Yeah.
I don't actually have a latest short film, Connor.
There was a short film you were working on back in 2017. I don't know if that ever got finished up, but
do you know what it was called?
Man, I don't, but I remember you were showing me some of your script from it, and I don't remember one bit, but I remember you were working on it.
When and where was I showing you the script? Maybe that'll help me.
At Corridor.
Okay.
When Carmichael was still there.
Oh my gosh, man! I probably finished the film.
Hopefully,
God, 2017. What was I working on then? Gosh darn. It would have been my Fallout movie, maybe. I don't know. Sorry, I don't have an answer. But I'm trying to make some new stuff.
Cool. Always making new stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for coming up, Connor. Thanks for being
Connor, sorry I didn't have a better answer for you.
No worries, man. No worries.
I really want to make more short films. Features take too long, so
yeah, man.
Yeah. I'm excited to show you guys eventually this short that I want to make at the end of the year. So I think it'll be cool. Yeah, I'm excited.
Do you think it's gonna get released on the Corridor channel or on your personal one?
I have no idea. I'm not really sure yet. I just want to make it and see how it turns out. So we'll see.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we should move on to the. If you're still if we are already 20 minutes above time that I told you.
I could give you 10 more minutes before I got a chance.
all right. Because I would be really interested in doing this little mind experiment with you. Would you be down for that?
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, cool. So it's gonna be a little mind exploration of basically your imagination power, right? Where your specialties are. And for that, I would like for you to just relax for a little bit, just close your eyes, try to empty your mind, right? Just vibe in the moment. Vibing. And then I want you to imagine an apple in front of your imaginary eye. Can you explain to me what's happening, what you're seeing?
I basically am seeing a black void, kind of like a 3D viewer window with a red streaked Honeycrisp apple. Yeah.
Can you get closer?
Just the most recent apple I've seen. What's up?
Can you get closer to that apple? Describe the individual patterns, how much detail, what can you see on the surface of the apple?
It's one of those apples that it's mostly red, but there's some yellow streaks going on, vertical streaks. I believe it's the Honeycrisp ones up from Washington, which is where my family lives. So I buy a lot of apples up there. But
nice. So this is kind of the
very
apple that you
imagining that specific apple. Yeah,
I see.
And there's
so
a little stem. Yeah.
So this is the kind of apple that you see all the time. So you have very fond and vivid memories of it.
Definitely.
I see. Can you freely move that apple around? Kind of look at it from all sides and rotate it, scale it up?
Yes. Like in a 3D viewer. Yeah.
Yes, very easy. Can you?
I'm just short of the widgets though. I don't have widgets.
Can you imagine widgets? If you want to grab that apple, can you imagine a mouse taking it or your hand taking it?
Yeah. Just because it's really fresh in my mind, that stuff, so I can move it along the axes, I can rotate it, yeah.
I see. Can you kind of abstract that apple? Can you turn it into a pear, for example?
Yep.
Can
just kind of morph.
Just morphing, just kind of
Yeah. It just gave me a little swish transition, actually.
A swish transition, kind of like a bar,
like a
Oh.
a little rotation, and just now it's a pear, now it's an apple.
Oh, I see. So your editing skills are very ingrained in your imagination. Then, right?
Apparently, yeah. Really.
I want to try to go even more abstract. Like kind of can you imagine this apple turning into a fire truck?
Ooh. Yeah. So how it turned into a fire truck is that the apple flattened into kind of like a semi 2D plane, still 3D, and then it turned 2D, and then that turned into the shape of a fire truck, and then it turned into the texture. I don't know. That's just how I saw it happen.
That's interesting. So there's a few steps involved.
And then morphed into a fire truck. Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool. Can you imagine this fire truck in an environment? Kind of like maybe driving down the street?
Yeah. Well, the first thing you said, or that came to my mind when you said an environment, was it was next to a burning building. Hooked up to the fire hydrant and pumping some water.
I see.
So I guess I just went to a fire truck in its natural habitat.
Yeah, that's good to hear, because I'm also really interested now that we are at a burning house. Can you smell it? Can you feel the heat?
Well, now I can, now that you mention it, yeah. Like that smell of fire, that fire smell is very vivid to me. So yeah, I can smell it. Of course, there's someone, in the top story saying, "Save my baby,"
I see.
And all the firemen have charred black faces, because they just ran out of the building. And I think they're trying to save the baby right now.
Interesting. So if you were just staying here and I guess observing the scene, does it just happen by itself? Is there a whole story unfolding?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very generic fire scene, but yeah, it's going. Yeah.
Can you walk me through what's happening right now?
Yeah, so you have one of the firemen, he's up on the ladder right now trying to reach to the woman, and she's trying to, hand the cat to him, but it's freaking out, so it's not going too well. It's kind of wriggling around. And the chief's down there, yelling orders on his loudspeaker, and all the guys are unfurling hoses and getting ready to start dousing. That's what's going on.
Nice. It really sounds like you have very vivid, almost automatic imagination. Everything just kind of the story just happens on its own, right? Or do you need to put some energy into things to move, or it just happens?
It's just happening. It's just kind of a generic fire scene, but everything's there,
All right.
Seen a lot of fire movies, so. But I mean, it's just kind of this perpetual scene of chaos.
See, I want to try to, because up to this point, you were able to manage to get everything going that I asked for you. I'm kind of trying to see where maybe something is that's a bit more difficult for you to imagine. Maybe maybe something more uncommon. Maybe this fire truck is underwater and it's actually spraying water onto I don't know, bikini bottom. How does that play out?
It's spraying air, bubbles.
I see. Yes.
Yeah, what does a bikini bottom fire look like? I'm sure in SpongeBob there's been fire, right? When
there's fire underwater.
When Plankton burns everything, isn't there?
They constantly break logic.
I like the idea that underwater fire is just air though instead or something.
Just bubbles, just things bubbling up.
Steam vents. Yeah. I don't know. I think one thing I'm good at is imagination. Maybe sometimes too much. I get stuck in there sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's kind of concludes the experiment because
Okay, I can come out. I'm back to the land of the living.
Come back to the real.
Oh my gosh, I was overheating near that fire. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they got the cat. If they got it
damn,
safe.
man. I mean, you can get there back tonight maybe and check it out in your dreams.
yeah, I'll go back home and visit the thief.
But yeah, it's really interesting to like. But you were really able to like really have like all the sensory details and everything, because not everybody has all the sensory inputs in their imagination, right? Like some people can visualize things really well, some can't visualize anything, some can smell things. So yeah, it's really interesting like how different people imagine things. But for you, it was really all of the colors, right? Like I didn't find anything in this quick experiment where you're struggling with. So it really makes a lot of sense to me how you are such a like a director, storyteller, because you can just like really easily imagine things, and they also happen by themselves, right? It doesn't take a lot of energy for you to have like story structures.
Yeah, the hard part is then getting the means to make that stuff become real. You know, like it's like you have a lot of stuff in your head. It's just like, how do I make that now on screen? So that's like where like Blender is so cool, and like I mean AI can help with that a little bit, you know, to get some inspiration going. But yeah, but no, I mean like I don't know, when you close your eyes, do you think like when you imagine something? I'm curious. Is it like, are you looking? Because for me, it's like cinematography, almost like I'm seeing like a movie when I think of things. So like that's why I was able to like have all those maybe details, because I'm thinking of like a movie scene, right? So like you see all that stuff in a movie scene.
Are you like, yeah, I guess I didn't ask that. Were you also kind of imagining it with cuts and stuff? Like, so it was basically a movie you were watching?
I don't know specifically if there's cuts, but like I definitely am like cutting to different like parts of it. Yeah, but not like a movie. It's not like playing out like a movie. Like it's not like close up wide, but like.
So it's still more like you were there.
It feels like
as
a film
person.
set almost. Yeah, it's like a full environment or whatever. But when you like, what would your mind take you down? Like
like kind of like what I found about my imagination, which is a bit unique, is that I can't hold on to images. Like I can clearly imagine everything and also manipulate it, but as soon as I lose a little bit of focus, everything becomes almost liquid. So it like kind of starts to abstract and get blurry by itself. And to me, that kind of like
turn into something else.
But most of the time it just becomes liquidy, right? It can kind of like represent, kind of like when you look at clouds, right? You can still like see things in them, but it's very abstract. So to me, at least, I kind of learned that my imagination isn't very solid, right? It's very abstract. So it's hard for me to model and draw things, because I have a very clear image in one moment, but then in the next moment it's something else, right? So it's really hard to keep on to ideas for me.
So do you find that your aha moment then is almost like when you're in your modeling viewport or something and you finally have it click? Like, is there that moment of like, oh, that's what I was imagining, and you like find it again? Or is it just kind of like you're seeing what sticks? And like,
yeah, I mean, that what you explained first was like that happens sometimes, but very rare. Like what works for me best is if I work off of what people already created and I mix and match, right? So it's basically already solid objects, like there's nothing changing about them. I just get the parts together that make me feel the feelings that I had when I imagined what I wanted to imagine, right? So it's a bit different kind of workflow. So I guess everybody has their kind of like strengths in this kind of way where, yeah, your imagination helps you with specific things, but it's also not very helpful for other things.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to both, honestly. You know, it's nice to be able to like maybe know exactly what you want, but then it can also be frustrating if you can't get that. And I know for me, sometimes I can like quit before, because I just get like tired of trying to figure out like, fuck, like, it's like, I know I need like 13 little like 1 millimeter divots in this model. I just don't know how to fucking do that, you know? Like, so I'll do it later, and then I walk away and I never fucking do it. So, you know, whereas like maybe with you, it's like, you know, like you need to make this thing, and then you just experiment until it's like, oh, that's like what I need, or it's like, oh, well, this person did this, maybe I can combine that. So I don't know. Yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah, it's I guess that could be the difference, where I don't need my thing to be exactly how I imagine it. I'm fine with like just like getting whatever works, right? And you like stick to that very clear image, and so you try to get it exactly like that, which can be very hard sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, it can really, that can go into perfectionism real fast, and that's where it gets debilitating, right? Because you're like, I don't want to make anything unless it's exactly what I have in my head, you know.
Right,
so I think that's the con of it, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Now that I'm thinking about it, we're learning stuff today.
yeah, that's nice. Yeah, no, honestly, like this experiment has like really, really been a little eye-opening for a lot of my friends, because it's like just understanding how you are different to other people really puts in your skills and your weaknesses really into perspective.
Yeah, it's a really interesting experiment. I look forward to seeing the other interviewees that you have on, how they respond. You're doing Peter tomorrow, right? You're having Peter on?
Yeah, Peter's coming tomorrow. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Cool. I'm going to try to tune in.
Hell yeah. How will he imagine the world?
Yeah. I'm sure. I don't know, man. That guy's like, I feel like he might be even more intensely focused than what I'm seeing. Because, like, that guy just makes stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just so fast. So I feel like to work that fast, you need to really know exactly, like, have insane intention. But yeah.
Or maybe it's something completely else. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I mean, with that, I think that was a really nice end. I would like to like wrap it up, and thank you for joining this.
Of course, man. Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a really fun talk. Really great way to start the morning. I feel like very inspired already. So.
Oh, awesome! I'm happy to hear that. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to talk again if you ever want to just talk shop, man. It's been really fun. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'll let's keep chatting. I've got a few ideas. We can figure things out. Yeah, man. Then have a great day. I'll see you around. Yeah.
Sounds good, man. Have a good rest of your night. All right.
Thank you. Ciao. All right. Yeah, that was Nick. That was a really nice interview. He was really open about a lot of things. I appreciated his visit. Yeah, and with that, everyone who's still watching, we're gonna get into the Create Together live stream in like 10 minutes. So you can stay tuned. We're gonna look through some student submissions and work together on some stuff.